Hi, I'm Dawnn Lewis, and you are listening to You Might Know Her From with Ann and Damien. You know where you know me from. Come on.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of You Might Know Her From
with Ann and Damien.
Hi, it's Damien and Ann, and we are here hanging out. And you know, if you're new to the show, then hello and welcome. Thanks for finding us. And if you have been here before, you already know. But this is our show where we, queer best friends, longtime friends, collaborators, fans of the arts, and women actors, come together. We talk about what we're watching, reading. I don't know. Sometimes we're just talking about our aging bodies. And then we always interview a woman actor. So hello, welcome back to the show, or welcome to the show if you're new.
Damien, I realized that I had placed an order for something and we haven't discussed it in a long time. And that is Girl Scout cookies.
Ooh.
And you know, there's like a lot of Girl Scouts. I don't know if you have a lot of Girl Scouts in your life. I think you had at least one or two.
And at times in my life, yes. But currently, no, I think I'm going to buy them from trans Girl Scouts this year.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So I bought some from my friend's daughter and I didn't know where you stood on them because I grew up in a Thin Mint family and I no longer order Thin Mints. And it felt like I was like rejecting the Girl Scouts in some way by not ordering them. But
tell me your order, please.
I'm really in. I got 2 boxes. I had to get 4 to have them shipped from California. So I got 2 of the, I got 2 of the tag-alongs, which is chocolate and peanut butter, which I think are excellent.
What a tag-along
And
is.
then I got one of the newer lemon ones that are sort of like have
Yummy.
the inspirational things written on them and like a lemon glaze. And then I got a new one that is like a fudge brownie situation.
Oh, interesting.
That I hadn't tried before. So I just got 4, but I really almost ordered the Samoas and
caramel delights.
Yes, they're called caramel delights now, and or the Thin Mints. But I thought I was sort of like doing them dirty because my family's a chocolate and mint family, and I'm no longer a chocolate and mint person.
I'm going to say last year I ordered them from a coworker's daughter, and I ordered, I think, 6 boxes. So I'm not a great person having this conversation because I want to try like one of everything.
Yeah.
And so I typically, if I buy cookies, I will buy Girl Scout cookies. I will buy Thin Mints, the peanut butter ones. What do they call tagalongs? Shortbread.
Yeah, those are good.
And then sometimes there's like a chocolate shortbread if that's available. That's also very good. And then I love the Samoa or caramel delights. I would say they were my favorites as a young person, but I grew up in like a Thin Mint family. So those two are big, like they're iconic.
Yeah.
But I do agree that like the lemon,
it's a very good addition to the Girl Scout lineup.
The lemon is very good. And I think that the tagalongs, I'm not sure. I think that they are more, they were not like.
Yeah, I don't think we grew up with them.
So, yeah, but I really don't discriminate against most. I think last year I bought a s'mores one, but then I didn't end up opening them. I ended up shipping them to my brother because I was like, I needed these cookies out of my home.
It's like a piece of Americana that I like, buying Girl Scout cookies from Girl Scouts. It's like I enjoy the
I like fireworks too. It's another piece of and buffalo sauce.
I love that you think buffalo sauce is like an American, and also like fireworks are Chinese, right? I guess it's like we get fireworks on the 4th of July, but
where
I think fireworks were invented by the Chinese.
Where is buffalo sauce from? I think it's American.
You're right, Buffalo, the city.
No.
Yes, I bet it was because buffalo wings are from Buffalo.
Okay, well, look at that. I hope we taught you something today. Folks, we love you. We hope you enjoy this interview with the iconic Dawnn Lewis, who was just such a pleasure to have. She is a big deal. We grew up with her in our homes, on our television sets, and what a great thrill it was to get to sit here, talk to her about her very full circle moment with her theatrical and acting career and how it has come full circle with her foundation. And also just so cool to get to talk to her about do a deep dive into her stage work. What a pleasure.
You might know her from A Different World,
Hangin' with Mr. Cooper,
Young Rock,
Major Crimes,
I'm Gonna Get You Sucka,
Star Trek Lower Decks,
The Wood,
Dreamgirls,
and the Broadway production of Tina, the Tina Turner musical.
Wow. Okay. It's a huge day here at You Might Know Her From because we are here with actress, singer, songwriter, producer, philanthropist, Dr. Dawnn Lewis. Dawnn, thank you so much for being here on the show.
Truly my pleasure, Damien. Very much my pleasure.
So Dawnn, our listeners may best know you from your decades-long film and TV career. A Different World, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Major Crimes, Young Rock, Star Trek, your nonprofit, A New Day Foundation. We're going to get to all that. But one of the great pleasures of having this podcast and getting to do this is really getting to unlock parts of an actor's career that we were not as familiar with. And we were so tickled to find out that you are a theater kid. Yeah, you're a theater kid. You made your Broadway debut in 2019 as Tina Turner's mother, Zelma, in Tina. Some other theater credits include just a little laundry list here. The Wiz at Encore City Center, The World Goes Round at UCLA, the original companies of Sister Act, and the 1994 revival of How to Succeed in Business, both at La Jolla Playhouse. And, of course, you got your start in the national tour of the Tap Dance Kid in 1985, and a cast that included The Legend, Hinton Battle, and Dule Hill.
Very close. Very close.
How close? Tell me what I got wrong.
It was 97% correct.
Can you, because this is internet, so it's all, we want to correct the internet.
Okay. So my actual start, I have been performing on stage since I was 7 years old. I started dancing on the stages of the Brooklyn Academy of Music in Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
I had my first band. I was lead vocalist when I was 14. My first off-Broadway show was a show called Money Notes in New York City. My next off-Broadway show was Shades of Harlem with Ty Stevens and Brandis McKenzie. That was there. And the Tap Dance Kid didn't come until I graduated from college in 82.
Okay.
So the Tap Dance Kid didn't start till 85. So
you were working in the stage as a young person before you even went to college.
Before I even went to college. And then once I graduated, I did that tour was the national Broadway tour of the Tap Dance Kid, like you said, with Hinton Battle and Harold Nicholas and Dule Hill and Monica Page and Ben Harney. And that was just amazing to me, absolutely amazing. And within 3 months of finishing that tour was when I booked A Different World.
Wow.
And the musical director, before I even left for tour for the Tap Dance Kid in the spring of 1985, we started rehearsals for that tour in the summer of 85. In the spring of 85, it had recently been announced that Jodi Watley was leaving the group Shalamar. And so they had this nationwide search to replace Jodi Watley. And I was one of the girls that was being considered to replace Jodi Watley in Shalamar because I thought I was going to be a recording artist. I had written and recorded with different artists. I was a really popular session singer in New York, and I was working on going solo. And I was an office temp in the World Trade Center. And I was listening to the radio early o'clock that morning, getting ready for work. And I heard that they were having these auditions to replace Jodi Watley and Shalamar at this club that was really popular in Manhattan called Leviticus. So I called my job and I said, you're going to have to get a temp for the temp because I ain't coming today. And I'm going to go try to get this gig. And they all knew what it was I really wanted to do. So they were so supportive. They were incredibly supportive. So, of course, it was heartbreaking a couple of decades later when the towers came down. It was like, anyway. So needless to say, they had these talent searches across the country, and I won for New York. And there was a winner from New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, LA. And then they flew us all out to California, and we had this great big competition. And they only to find out that it was already rigged. They had already decided who was going to win, but this was all to get publicity and all of that. So when they announced who the winner was, the audience went up. They were like, no, New York, New York, New York. And they said, okay, don't worry. We're going to start a new girl group with the girl from New York, the girl from Chicago, and the girl from Miami. And I thought, this is even better. I'm going to have my own group. Only to find out that they were just lying to quiet the crowd. So that didn't happen. But Howard Hewitt and I have been friends ever since. So that's like a brotherly, sisterly love affair for over 40 years now. We met during that competition, and it's just been a blessing to have him as a friend since. So then I booked the national tour of the Tap Dance Kid. A year later, the people who cast me in the Tap Dance Kid, I was begging them because they were the same casting directors for The Cosby Show. And there, I heard while I was on the road, they were doing this spinoff. I begged them, please let me audition. They're like, no, we love what you're doing on the road, because I was one of the principals in the Tap Dance Kid. And I also covered the other female lead role. They was like, nope, stay where you are, stay where you are. So for 3 months, I literally begged for an audition, and they kept saying no, no, no. So finally the tour is over. I'm down to my last unemployment check, and they call me back and say, are you still interested in auditioning? I said, absolutely. This was on a Wednesday. They said, can you come in tomorrow? I said, I will be there. An hour after they called me, the musical director for The Cosby Show had a copy of my demo tape, a cassette of me singing and my songwriting, and had my phone number on it. He called me and said, would you be willing to work with me on the theme song for this new Cosby spinoff? And I thought, okay, now these are my friends playing a really cruel joke on me, because this doesn't happen, only to find out that it wasn't a joke. And he sent a messenger to my house that afternoon.
And were you living in LA or New York at this point?
New York. No.
Okay.
LA did not. Only time LA saw me was when I was on tour with Tap Dance, and when I was there for the Shalamar callback, the big performance concert. And I actually had decided I really don't like LA. I'm a New York girl. What you see is what you get. I say what I mean what I say, and that was not the vibe I got when I came to California. I was like, okay, the weather's nice, but not for me. Yeah. So I get the cassette, and it has the music, the vibe that he's thinking of. And he says, okay, I'll see you in the studio to record it on Friday. Again, this is Wednesday. And I said, well, you don't want to meet first to see what I come up with? And he says, no, if you're the same person that wrote what's on this cassette, I think you're going to be fine. And I'll see you Friday. So, okay. So now I have an audition tomorrow, and I have to write a song. And I thought to myself, this is really a big deal. And I just got out of college, and I know I need a contract, and I shouldn't be doing this myself. So I started calling around to get pro bono legal help. And remember, there was a textbook that I studied in school called This Business of Music. And I looked up in the front, and the 2 attorneys who wrote the textbook were actually lawyers in New York. I looked them up in the yellow pages. I called them.
Obsessed.
You know what the yellow pages are? Do your listeners know what the yellow pages are?
They know.
You know what a cassette is? I probably lost them at cassette.
No.
Okay, all right. So I called them up and said, look, this is my situation. I have this really amazing opportunity, but I'm going to need help. Do you have a paralegal or someone that can help me? They said, can you come in tomorrow? And I said, yeah, sure. So I went to my audition. It was, thank you very much. Maybe we'll call you, probably not. And went to meet with the lawyer and had the conversation with him, told him the whole deal. He said, we'd be happy to represent you. I said, you probably missed the part where I said, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I need to do this for free. I can't afford you. And they said, well, because you want to do this the right way and didn't just sign whatever they put in front of you, we will represent you free of charge. All we ask is that you be willing to pay it forward when you get an opportunity. I had never heard that term before. And they explained it to me that it means when you're in a position to do something supportive for someone else, that you be willing to do that. And that's all we ask. And I sat there in their office and I cried. So within 7 days, almost 8 days.
I love New Yorkers. They're real, but they get shit done, but they're honest.
Yes. And so within less than 10 days, I had booked the co-star spot. I had written the theme song, and the musical director and the producers of the show had no idea that they had hired the same person to do 2 completely different jobs.
Whoa.
Until after they had hired me. I was sitting in Mr. Cosby's dressing room with him, the casting directors, and Tom Warner of Carsey Warner, one of the producers of the show. And they said, okay, Dawnn, this is Mr. Cosby, but, Bill, before we start interviewing Dawnn, what did you think of the song? And he's like, oh, man, the song is great. The words are perfect. The girl singing it, her voice is amazing. And I'm sitting there like, okay. And I literally raised my hand. And they said, yeah, Dawnn. I said, I just want to say thank you. Like, thank you for what? I was like, I'm the girl. I'm who you're talking about. And they looked at me like, what? And Bill sat there laughing. He was cracking up. And that's when they finally put 2 and 2 together, that I was the same person. And then they went on to talk about, this is what we're going to do to her hair. Look at the way she's dressed. We love the way she's dressed. That's what she should wear, and this and that. And I'm sitting there, okay. So I raised my hand again. They said, yes. I said, does this mean I have the job? They said, what do you think we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes? I was like, okay. Okay, so they said, okay, so wait in the hallway. We'll be out to get you in a second. And I stood in the hallway. You ever scream and nothing comes out of your mouth? I was sitting in the hallway.
I
Like,
mean,
what just
it's
happened?
pretty unreal.
What
Yeah.
just happened? Grace of God. So Mr. Warner let me use his office. I called my mom. My mom is this little petite Caribbean woman who was a surgeon's assistant. She was in the operating room. I told the nurse, you got to get my mom to the phone right now. You got to get her. So she comes to the phone thinking like I'm dead or something and answers the phone. I told her, Mom, I got the job. And she's like, thank you, Jesus. Oh, Father. Oh, thank you. Blessings. Oh, my Lord. And so that was really great. So after that, a few months after joining A Different World, I actually got to do my first Broadway run. It was a limited run that I did with the Harlem Boys Choir and, of all people, Michael Bolton.
Oh my God.
And that was a couple of
Wild.
weeks.
Okay.
That was a couple of weeks concert presentation. That was technically my first Broadway appearance.
Okay. So doing Tina, the musical, Tina Turner musical, was
Yes.
was a return to the stage.
Was a return
to the New York stage.
stage for me. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing. Did you originating that role? Did you rely a lot on Tina? Did you rely on talking to Tina Turner at all, like to really
We
create
never
Zelma?
got, the only person who got to speak to Tina was Adrian, who played
Okay.
Tina. The rest of it was through the dramaturg reading Tina's autobiography, looking for, there was very limited video on Zelma that was available, but there were a couple of interviews where it was very clear that they did not have a good relationship, that the relationship was definitely fraught. So that being said, and then what little I was able to hear of Zelma trying to recreate her voice, recreate her cadence, etc. So when I got to do the show, Miss Turner did come opening night. Tina came opening night. And at the end of the show, we were all backstage waiting to take a photo. And someone reached over and grabbed my hand, and it was her. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I had met her years ago at an American Music Awards event. I was a presenter. She was an honoree. And so we crossed paths. I got to say hi. And that was, I would never expect her to remember me. But of course, that encounter meant the world to me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, great. So she reached over, touched my hand. She says, I just have to tell you, you did a beautiful, beautiful job. It made me feel like home. And I looked at her, I said, okay, so is that a good thing? Because I know it was not the best. Really, she says, no, you hit her spot on. It was absolutely beautiful. So as far as I was concerned, I didn't care what anybody else said, whether they liked my performance or not. If it was blessed by Ms. Turner herself, then I was like,
Hell yeah.
okay, then I did my job. So
That's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been close to Broadway a couple of other times. I was in the West Coast original cast of the revisal of How to Succeed in Business with Matthew Broderick. So I was in the cast with Matthew Broderick, Megan Mullally, Lilius White, and me. We were the four principals, but they swapped out some of the cast, including me, Robert Mandan, and one other person for the Broadway cast. I have my thoughts about that. We
have our thoughts about that too, based on who ended up in that role. But
it's a funny role, and you're a comedian. Like you're.
Well, I think, okay, I'm just gonna be me. I think they were in that process of choosing which African American lady are we going to keep. And when you have a choice between anyone and Lilius White, it's the kind of a no-brainer. Lilius is absolutely amazing. She's one of my dearest friends. But it became apparent after a while that they were only going to keep one of us, not based on whether or not we could do the gig, but okay, that happened. And then the next time was Sister Act, the musical. I originated the Dolores Van Cartier role. I did the workshops. I did the Pasadena Playhouse run, the Alliance run in Atlanta, and the next stop was New York. And then the promoters of the Broadway show, they was going into pre-sales and all of that. And then they wanted some changes with the director. They wanted a new director and nobody wanted to be replaced. So they took the show to London and did it with a different cast, try to find different money. And then the next thing I knew, when it came back to New York, I no longer had a job. The young lady that was my understudy had the job. And so she went on to do the show. So those were a couple of two almost opportunities to come back to New York that didn't pan out at the time. So doing Tina meant a lot to me because her life paralleled mine in a lot of ways. I was raised in a house with domestic violence. Like Zelma, my mom left us in order to save her life, and ultimately was able to be in a position to come back and get myself and my three brothers and raise us as a single parent. But we didn't see our mom for almost a year and a half, close to 2 years. Yeah. So it meant a lot to me. And it was very easy to play Zelma as a villain, but that wasn't my experience. My mom was actually my hero, doing the best she could to do the best she could in a time where that was frowned upon.
Yeah.
You didn't get divorced. You dealt with outside relationships, outside kids, all kinds of stuff. And you just like, well, I'm the one he married. So, our parents, my parent was of that first generation where they were willing to say enough is enough. And I deserve better. And I'm going to get a divorce and save myself and hopefully be able to save my kids. So I didn't see Zelma as a villain. So that was how I approached her when I was doing the character. So since then, the ball keeps moving. I'm so grateful. What an amazing journey this has been, decades now after A Different World. People still love Jaleesa, but I'm grateful for the folk that, follow me through, like you said, Major Crimes, Hang with Mr. Cooper, Young Rock. And now I'm doing 2 new shows. One for Netflix called Nemesis that I believe is going to be released this fall, and RJ Decker that I believe gets released this spring, and the reboot of A Different World that's also going to be on Netflix. From what I was told this summer, even though I won't be a regular character, they will be reusing the original theme song. So
okay.
Yeah, that's what I was told. We'll see how that pans out. So they'll probably have a different recording artist singing it with a updated arrangement and such, but it'll be the same song. So I will be there in spirit. So
And do you think there's any chance that you might appear in some sort of guest appearance?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably at least one episode, because they have called to ask my availability. Are you available in March or April or whatever to come and play with us. So we'll see how it all works out.
I mean, we have so much to dive into, but while we're on Jaleesa, I just want to touch on a few things with A Different World. And we're excited, in whatever capacity you'll be coming back in the reboot, we're excited to see it. But for those of you that don't know, the whole series is streaming on Netflix. It's one of my favorite shows of the 90s. I grew up with A Different World. Go binge all of it. It's one of the smartest, best sitcoms from that era. I think it's so great. And I just wanted to touch base with you about the fact that you are double dutching in the opening credits in a blazer and like booty heels.
And booty heels.
Looking really good. Like,
Thank you.
Was that something that you had in your back pocket that they were like, oh yeah, let's use that? You said, let me do that. And like, when have you double dutched recently?
I double dutched actually backstage at Tina. We would bring a jump rope, and yes, prior to the show and sometimes during intermission, we would be on stage like, Miss Dawnn, come and jump. So I was like, yeah, I would be in my Zelma wig and Zelma clothes and jumping double dutch backstage. But yeah, they were looking for fun things for each of our characters to do in the opening credits. And I told them I can jump rope. The hardest part was actually finding 2 young girls who actually knew how to turn double dutch. But once we came across a couple of young girls who knew how to do that, it was easy. We did a couple of takes and they said, okay, do more tricks, do more tricks. And it was like, oh, that's great. Okay, we got it. And that was fun.
You were really in, as you told us, your like origin story with A Different World and the song, as well as, being cast as Jaleesa, like you were there from the ground up. there were a lot of changes after that first season when Lisa Bonet and Marissa Tomei were written off the show, and the legendary Debbie Allen then was brought in to direct and executive produce. Like, what was that like for you? This was like your I think one of your first big TV roles. You were there from season 1. What did that transition feel like, and how do you look back on it?
It was very interesting. When we started the show, we shot at least 4 or 5 episodes. We had a different executive producer. His name was George Crosby. Beautiful, beautiful African-American man, really smart. And the network, I guess, wasn't happy with the stories we were telling for whatever reason. So they brought in Ann Beats, who had done a show Square Pegs and also had written on Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
And when Ann came in, we had taken almost a month off after shooting those 4 episodes. So we didn't know what was going to happen. And they had already made some cast changes. There were a couple of people that shot the pilot that weren't in the episodes moving forward. Then there were a couple of people that were in the episodes moving forward that the producers decided were not a good fit for the show, and they were let go. Miss Beats came in and made a couple of more changes, and the biggest of which was we were basically doing revamped Square Pegs episodes. You know, babysitting eggs, doing all that kind of stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with Black culture or the experience at a predominantly Black college. And so we went through that, and all through that first season, we were watching people come and go for all kinds of reasons. And then by the time we got to the second season and Lisa wasn't there and Marissa wasn't there, we were like, what is happening? So we're looking around. It's like, okay, who's left? It was me. I was the last original character left because the original show was myself, Lisa, and Marissa. And in those first couple of episodes, they had also brought in Kadeem as the fated, unrequited love interest. But I was the last one left. It's like, okay. And so even that next season when Debbie came in, it was not unusual where you would come to work. And I remember the Cosby Show explained Lisa's absence because she wasn't on our show, but she wasn't on their show either. They said that she had gone to Africa to find herself. If you remember, she had gone to Africa to find herself. So anytime someone came to work and was like, okay, somebody should have called you because you're not working here anymore, or your character's not going to be moving forward anymore, the running joke on set was, oh, you know they in Africa, child. Everybody's in Africa.
Oh, my God.
Everybody's in Africa. So it was like this, you never almost didn't know who was going to have a job when you came back to work. So that went on for a couple of years, and more people kept being added, and, less and less for certain characters to do. And it got to a point where in my third season, I was like, I'd really like to go and do something else, because right now I feel like I'm becoming a punchline. I don't have my character. The show isn't invested. It's gone in a different direction, which is fine. It's your show. Do what you want to do. But I would really like to go where I can sink my teeth into something and do other work. And they were like, nope, the fans love you. You're an integral part of the show. You can't go anywhere. So that went nowhere. That fell on deaf ears. And up until my 5th season, when the cast now went from the 3 of us to, I think there were 14 of us on the show. And they had made the announcement that the Cosby Show, that was their final season. That our 5th season was going to be the Cosby Show's final season. And I said, okay, so what I don't want is they're only going to, because the network really did not support our show. We were an anomaly. We rarely, if ever, had a commercial. We never had a billboard. We never had a big ad campaign. We never did the special 1-hour special that was so common in hit shows. We never were nominated for an Emmy, even though we were like the number 1, number 2 show on television,
So
and not
crazy.
just America, but across the planet for 5 seasons straight. We weren't even invited to the Emmys to present an award to somebody else. Never. So we were making goo gobs of money for everybody, and not being treated very warmly or kindly at all. So the last thing I knew that if this was the last season of The Cosby Show, then we may have one more season before all of us are unemployed. And that was the last thing I wanted, was to be unemployed at the same time as 14 other young African-American actors. And the truth is that I was playing the older person on the show, but I was actually younger than half the cast. I was just taller than everybody.
They don't respect tall women.
They really don't. They really
don't. So they had me play the old person, dress me like my mom and my auntie, and big things with big shoulder pads. And
you always had shoulder pads.
I always had shoulder pads. And so finally in the 5th season, I said again, can I please go and do something else? And they said, well, if you come back with a contract, then we'll let you go. And that was when we had a pilot season.
Oh,
you remember? And there were only 2 weeks left to pilot season. And I was like, bet. So I went and had a couple of meetings and got offered Hangin with Mr. Cooper. And I said, I went back to Carsey Werner, can I go now, please? And they weren't expecting me to come back with a contract. But I was grateful that they honored their word and they let me go. So that was how I moved over to Hang with Mr.
Jaleesa
Cooper.
went to Africa.
Jaleesa went to Africa. I think I got 1, maybe 2 sentences that 6th season of why I wasn't there anymore. I took Colonel
They really
Taylor's
didn't explain
baby
it
and I
well.
left. Child, I took Colonel Taylor's baby and I left. I got pregnant, took his baby and went away somewhere. And yeah. But
justice for Jaleesa. I was so into her being like a divorcee going back to college. And then they tried to pair her off with Sinbad, and then they paired her off again at the end of the show. I was like, I wanted to see where Jaleesa was going by herself, maybe. She didn't need to be partnered off.
You and me both. But that whole thing happened when they tried to partner me and Sinbad off. We became everybody's parents on the show. And it's like, wait, now we have stories too. We have stories too. And they weren't interested in doing that. So we did everything under the sun to sabotage. So that was why they got the wedding episode and both of us looked at each other and said, yeah, no, because we were not cooperative. Guinea pig.
Can I try to like draw a full circle moment here between A Different World and Hanging with Mr. Cooper? Because so you're a cast member on the inaugural season of Hanging with Mr. Cooper with Mark Curry, and you perform the theme song with Holly Robinson Peete and the iconic girl group En Vogue. How did I feel like the 90s appreciated something about like performers being multi-talented, and like how did you guys get to perform that theme song? Were you intimidated going in the studio with En Vogue?
I was a recording artist. That was what I did, and Holly also sang as well. So no,
it is such a good song.
It really is. It really is. It really is. The opening credits were a lot of fun, but again, it's certain realities of the industry are just not so nice. They're just really not nice. Like we had to fight to even get credit as singing on the theme song. They didn't want to pay us for singing the theme song. They didn't want to give us credit for the theme song. They didn't want to give me credit for writing the theme song for A Different World. If I hadn't had those attorneys, when you watch the pilot, because I was the writer of the song, I shared 50-50 credit with the musical director. And the musical director, let my attorneys know that, well, Mr. Cosby has a deal that he gets 50% of everything that I do. And he should be cut in on the credits and payment for the theme song. And my attorneys came back and said, well, Mr. Cosby is welcome to 50% of your 50%. But Dawnn Lewis is the writer. She's, she wrote it. And so, no, she's 50% writer. So they agreed to that. But when the show aired, my name was not there. And so I was supposed to get screen credit, 50-50 writer's credit, and payment as such. But when the pilot aired, my name was not there. When they registered the song, they registered me at 33.33%. So my attorneys at the time, sadly, both of them have passed away since then. And this is something that I tell up and coming performers is handle your business. If the show business, the word business is literally and figuratively twice as long as the word show. So if you're preoccupied with the show and being seen and being famous and don't handle your business, you are in for a rude awakening. So gratefully, these attorneys handled the business on my part. So when that happened, we went back to the producers and they said, well, okay, well, she's in the show. What else do you want? It's like, well, we want what's in her contract, that you pay her fairly and she gets screen credit. And they said, well, it'll take us some time to update the opening credits and this and that, maybe in a few months or whatever. And my attorney's response was, you know what? You take all the time you need, but just know until you do, you're in breach
of contract. Yeah.
And you will not be allowed to use the theme song, but you go ahead and take all the time you need. Was it fixed the next week? Yes, it was.
Oh, I love a good lawyer. Well done.
Yes, it was. And the same thing when Hanging with Mr. Cooper. It's like, you're in the show. What else do you want? It's like, I'm a recording artist. How do I look? Looking like In Vogue's singing is coming out of my face. No, list me as one of the singers. Pay me the session fee. It's like, you pay them for the session fee, right? Why don't be in Holly? Oh, so they considered me a troublemaker. That's the short of the long story, which was why I was only on Hang with Mr. Cooper for one season, was because I said, no, I've been doing this just about my whole life as a professional, and I want to be treated as a professional, and so yeah.
It makes me sad, and Anne, go with me on this. Like, I feel like it's frustrating because I feel like the 90s were such an amazing time for everybody to experience art from Black creatives. Like, there was a moment, like, I wasn't just A Different World and Hanging with Mr. Cooper. There's Martin and Fresh Prince and Living Single and Moesha.
227, Amen. I mean, the list just went on.
And they were in the zeitgeist. Like, everyone, like, my family watched them. Like, everybody was watching all of these shows. They were universal. They were mainstream. And it's frustrating to hear. I mean, I don't know that it's exclusive like to Black performers or Black shows, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
We definitely get the shorter end of the stick. Yeah,
and the cultural impact remains to this day. I mean, all those shows we mentioned are still like a cultural high point for like television period, let alone like Black people on television.
Right.
And so it's frustrating that, once again, as you said, it's like the business just doesn't compensate fairly, and they will take every edge they can to not pay the
which
talent.
Doesn't make sense. And which is sad. It makes sense to them because they will put the money where they choose to put the money, behind projects that they choose to put it behind, whether the project is successful or not. And then even a project that is successful, they'll decide, well, they don't need that much money. They don't need to make as much money as this person makes or that person makes. It's like, well, and it goes down the gamut. It goes down the gamut culturally. It goes down the gamut by gender. I mean, it's, and those are stories that the public doesn't necessarily care about or need to care. I think there's more of a capacity to care now and not just look at people and say, you're famous. What are you complaining about? It's like, I'm working. This is work. When you go,
this is labor. Work, pay me for my labor.
Pay me for my labor. Pay me for my skill set. Pay me for the comparatively to the amount of money I'm making you.
100%. Let's shift to something that has maybe an all Black creative team, and that's like your first film, the Keenan Ivory Wayans comedy, I'm Gonna Get You Sucka.
I love that movie. It was so much fun to work on. So many of those people are still my friends up until they passed away. People like Bernie Casey and Isaac Hayes and Janae Dubois. And I mean, all of those were people that I grew up just being insanely inspired by. And I have to admit, Keenan created the most amazing work environment. Coming to work was like, you wanted to be there whether you were going to be on camera or not. You just wanted to be around. It really, really was a wonderful experience. It was.
And I have to say, it was really fun. I mean, I knew you from the 90s, from A Different World, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, but I was so glad to see this where you got to do like physical comedy and really broad stuff, but also still be the love interest. So it was like a really nice, I just feel like, young women aren't often given that categorization on screen. And so it was really fun to get to see you like wear the yellow contacts and, kick people on the Soul Train line. And it was like every single person that shows up in that movie is like a superstar. I feel like it was the beginning of him creating this sort of empire from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people came out of that. His brothers, of course, the rest of the Wayans family, Kim and Chris Rock. And
Ellen Cleghorn.
I mean, the list went on of
Yeah.
and everybody showed up and showed out. It was really great.
Did you have the chance to improvise a bit on set, or was it really by the book, like you guys followed the script?
Oh, no,
or was
no,
there a lot
no.
of play there?
There was room for play, even within the words. It was a really, really smart script to start with. So you really didn't have to do a whole lot extra. Just, go with what was there and then add your own take to it.
Right.
The joke about me in those contexts when I had cramps, Keenan didn't believe that I could do. He said, I want to find some scary monster voice. I said, I could do that. I do voices. So he let me do my own voice. Cramps. It's like, oh my God, it's like gone. So, but he thought, I don't wear glasses. So I had to wear those crazy yellow things, the contact lenses. And so all they did was make my eyes cry and red and horrible, and I couldn't see. So Keenan thought it was hilarious to walk me around the set to where I had to go and walk me into things. He thought that was hilarious. I thought that's really not funny, dude.
Right.
I just walked into a pole. That's not funny.
That's workman's comp.
That's workman's comp. I mean, it was all in good fun. He wasn't trying to be harmful or anything, but it was all in good fun, which was kind of typical practical jokes going on the set. It was really cool. It was.
The movie holds up so well. It's so
Thank
good.
you.
Such a great array of talent there.
Thank you. And to any of your listeners, you can please let them know, no, I'm not still having cramps. I'm
Bless you. Bless you.
No, seriously, people walk up to me, are you still having cramps?
That's so funny.
No.
That day is done.
Yeah.
Dawnn, one of my most favorite recent credits of yours is as Angela Honig on NBC's Young Rock. And for my listeners, Angela is the prime minister of the fictional Belgium, which is so funny, in the year 2033, where The Rock is running for president of the United States. You get a lot of great bits with The Rock himself and Randall Park. You've said that The Rock personally selected you for the role. Can you talk more about that and how this role came to you? Because you're very good on it. It's very funny.
Thank you. Well, both of us graduated from the University of Miami, so we are both Hurricanes. He was there, a few years after I was there. And when he was doing his series, he and I had crossed paths at a few alumni events over the years, but I didn't really know him. But, we were acquainted with each other. And when this opportunity came up for this, it was right after the pandemic. It was right as we were going to reopen Tina in New York on Broadway after COVID and all of that. And they had presented to him a short list of actors that they had approached to play this role. And when he saw my name on the list, he said, "I seen enough. Her.
I love it.
Her. I want her." And I couldn't believe that. I said, well, he said, I didn't watch any tape. I saw your name and I thought if she's interested in coming to play with me, then that's who I want. So when we were on set, we were telling all kinds of Kane stories and, all of that, who we've stayed in touch with, all of those things. And he was really, really such a blessing to work with. And you're right. All of my scenes were with him, either with him or with him and Randall. And, one of the things that really, really, really blessed me while I was working with him was, Dwayne's a big star, and he was in the process of promoting Black Adam at the time and only had a very limited time to work on all of our scenes together. So we shot 10 episodes in 5 days. We shot all of our scenes together for the whole season in 5 days.
Wow.
And then after we were done was when the rest of the cast came over from Hawaii to then shoot the rest of the series. Then our scenes were going to be dropped in. So while we were working, he was still doing press and all kinds of things to promote Black Adam. So when he wasn't doing his close-ups and things like that, I guess for the previous couple of seasons, someone else would do it. His stand-in would do it and just shoot over his back and read lines with the actor while they did their close-ups. When we were doing that, when I was working with him, they had released him from the set. He was leaving, and then they were like, okay, Dawnn, we're going to change lenses and we're going to do your shots. And he stopped at the door and said, wait, is she still working? They said, yeah, we're going to do the turnaround and get Dawnn's shot. She says, well, if she's working, I'm working. They were like, no, Dwayne, you can go back to your trailer. He says, no, if she's working, I'm working. And they all look like he's never done that before. And
He has respect for Dr. Dawnn Lewis.
Oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful to receive and to appreciate. And then one really long day, he saw me about to absolutely myrtleize a Red Bull to stay awake. And he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I was like, "Dude, this is a long day, and I have all the words. It's your show, but I have all the words, and I don't understand why I have all the words, and you don't have all the words, but I have all the words." He says, "You got to stop drinking that stuff. Let me get you some of mine." And so we did. He introduced me to his Zoa. And then gave me like 8 cases of that stuff. Is so good. So I'm drinking it on the set, and I'm like, "Yo, my gosh, this is fantastic!" And he says, "You like it, huh?" So we did this whole thing, and we videotaped it and did a little promo thing for Zoa. And I drank because I have a Zoa in my fridge.
That's
right
so
now.
funny.
So
I love a pro's pro. Like that is what he should have done, but also just like he's a singer, he's a star.
Yeah.
I've only heard good things. I like
yeah,
that.
he was just really wonderful to work with. The environment was just it was great. And beautiful human being. I really, really enjoyed it. That was one of those experiences where you get to use all of the muscles and all of your creative tentacles, especially when you're doing, when you're just knocking it out. It was really great. It was really great. I would work with him anytime.
Amazing.
Okay, Dawnn Lewis, we've reached the part of the show we like to call the rapid fire. It's rapid for us just so we can get every last credit in. And if you need to take a beat, you can. We're just going to go. Okay, theater adjacently, you play Jimmy Earle's wife Melba in the 2006 film adaptation of Dreamgirls. It's this great little cameo where Eddie Murphy simultaneously singing to his wife, you in the audience, and also to his side piece, Anika Noni Rose, in the wings. How did that role come to be, and what was the experience like filming? Did you speak with Eddie at all about the character, or did you just show up and give really good eye acting from the audience?
Well, Eddie is a friend. He was a friend before this, and Hinton was in the movie, and Loretta Devine was in the movie, all of who I already knew. I'd never met Jennifer Hudson before. Anika and I were acquaintances from New York theater, so I knew her as well. Now, when the movie Dreamgirls came around, everybody and their mama wanted to be in it, and including me. But then they said, well, they want you to audition for this role for James Earle's wife. And they said, but she doesn't have any lines. She doesn't sing. I said, then what is it I'm auditioning for then? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then so my agent's like, well, okay. Then I thought about it, and I thought about all the people that wanted to be in this movie. I was like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and submit me. They said, good, because we already did. And I was like, okay. And next thing I know, I get the gig, and I'm on the set. I'd already known Danny Glover, and I knew several of the people in the cast. So we're shooting, and when we get to that particular scene where we're in the theater, Bill Condon, who was the director and one of the producers, came over to me to my seat and kneeled down and said, "We really have to thank you for agreeing to do this. Sorry you had to submit tape, but there were some of the producers who weren't familiar with you. So we really needed someone who can make something out of nothing. And we really wanted someone that the audience would immediately identify with. And you are sitting here giving us more than we could have ever asked for. And we would be remiss if we didn't let you know that. Thank you."
That is a good compliment.
That was huge to me. That was a huge compliment. And yeah.
I kind of got little chills thinking. I mean, that was my experience seeing the movie in the theater. Was that's Dawnn Lewis. It's Dawnn Lewis is Jimmy Earle's wife. So they knew what they They knew what they were doing, and you're great in it. It is such a quick moment.
Thank you. So that was a huge compliment to me. It's probably one of the best compliments I've ever received. Yeah.
Okay, Dawnn, we're trying to be rapid fire here. You have No. For me, I'm just trying to I'm pep talking myself here. You have an extensive voiceover career. You have worked on a laundry list for our listeners: Star Trek, Lower Decks, Monsters University, Inside Out, Minions, Doc McStuffins, The Boondocks, Futurama, The Fairly Odd Parents, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, The Cleveland Show, among many, many others. You have achieved an intense following for your work as Captain Carol Freeman on the series Star Trek. Lower Decks. What is your strangest or most surprising Star Trek experience? Because the fans are something.
The fact that I'm in the franchise at all, you don't understand. I am the hugest Trekkie ever since the first incarnation with William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols, who was one of my dearest friends until she passed away. I talked to her 48 hours before she passed because we had just done Comic-Con in San Diego and they asked me about this job. And when I got Star Trek Lower Decks and we didn't know what it was. We had to sign NDAs. I was auditioning for something, a sci-fi show where I was going to be Captain McDuck. And so I auditioned and I did my best combination of Avery Brooks and William Shatner as my captain, someone who was kind of had a swagger, but took themselves way too seriously. And that was my audition. And then when I got to the table read and it's me and Tawny and Jack and all the other cast, we flip our scripts over and see that it's a Star Trek show. I was like, what the feezy? Okay, all right, this can't be happening. So I immediately call my brothers and say, you will never guess what job. I never do that. You will never guess what job I just booked. And they were like, shut the front door. I said, yes, and I am the captain. They're like, do they know what they just did? And I was like, no, they have no idea. And then my next call was to Nichelle, because seeing Nichelle as a young girl in outer space, and that we were brilliant. We were badass. Everyone came to us to be able to communicate with other species. She was beautiful, but she was so excellent at the same time. Was nothing but inspiring to me. So to be able to not only meet her, but be able to call her my friend was everything. And if anyone knew how much I wanted to be on a Star Trek show, Nichelle did. I really wanted to be some kind of Klingon or Romulan or some kind of badass warrior to beat somebody up and wear prosthetics. I really wanted that. I still want that.
I want that for you too. It's so iconic,
Very
to get to have you a Vulcan or a Klingon or something.
So being able to do the show is just the biggest blessing. And Mike McMahon, the show's creator, and the rest of the team and the editors, just an absolutely incredibly brilliant company of people to be a part of. And the stories we got to tell of people who look like me and you, and I'm not just talking about what we look like on the outside, but our dreams, our aspirations, how we try to do our best, but often fall short. But we keep picking ourselves up and counting on our friends and counting on our village to help us get through to a better place. And, the stories that people come to me and say, me and my mom never got along, but watching you and your character, you and Tawny, you and, your daughter's character, Beckett, grow over the seasons to learn how to better communicate and collaborate with each other has been inspiring and healing to our family. I mean, just all kinds of stuff from an animation project. So no, it was fantastic. Just fantastic.
I love it.
I'll be coming to a Trek convention near you.
Hell yeah.
We love those. No, we do. We love those. We love going to those. And the fans show up and you hear all the stories and, you see all of the cosplay and it's really, really fantastic. It really is.
That's very cool. Okay, on 911, you played a detective hunting a sniper with Sergeant Angela Bassett. Yes. On Grey's Anatomy, you played the head of a hospital accreditation council, giving Chandra Wilson the business. Which was more difficult, cop walk and talk or doctor walk and talk?
Doctor walk and talk, because I understand You're under arrest. He shot him, he killed him, he's dead. I get that. But all of the medical terms and such, I'm like, what in the whole world? What in the whole world? And when I shut down the hospital, why was it all over the internet? Jaleesa shut down the hospital.
Oh my God.
I was like, first of all, I was not Jaleesa. And Jaleesa was almost 37 years ago. And I was a very different character. And so I'm glad you like Jaleesa, but that's not what I was doing. But yes. Yeah. Even when people would come to the stage door at Tina, you just watch me for 3 hours. Be a completely different person. I would come out the stage door, Jaleesa, give me an autograph. I was like, okay, I get it. You guys liked it. You guys loved it. But I appreciate you coming with me on the ride wherever I go, even if you think it's, oh my God, Jaleesa's on The Simpsons. Oh my God, Jaleesa. No.
It's a blessing and a curse.
It's a blessing and a curse. Actually, it's not really a curse. It's kind of
It's a sweet, but seems exhausting.
It's what it is that when people have a hard time moving away,
Yeah.
it also speaks to the minds of producers and studio heads, because your goal as a performer, as any performer, is to stay current, is to stay marketable, is to stay relevant. But if the people who hire you can't get past seeing you in some other form, then that can be a real challenge.
Yeah.
So I say to anybody, if there's an actor, if there's a recording artist, if there's a whatever that you really, really enjoy, then go on their personal creative journey with them and not require them to keep recreating or living in something that was already done. Enjoy it for what it was, and hopefully it'll encourage you to follow and participate in the next thing, because that's our job. Our job is to convince you that we are real people facing real subjects as each other real person that we get to become. So so if you like what I do, please support me in the new stuff as well. And I have to believe that the only reason I keep getting new stuff is because you do support me and follow me and enjoy the work that I do, which is I'm really grateful for.
Okay, Dawnn, as we mentioned, you are the founder and president of the nonprofit A New Day Foundation, whose mission is to provide financial and programmatic support towards the empowerment and education of youth in underserved communities. What was the impetus of creating A New Day? Like, what was the story?
The story is, and I'll try to keep this brief. Nothing I say is brief, if you haven't noticed, but I'll try to keep it brief. As a young kid growing up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and as I mentioned before, a house with domestic violence, there were not a lot of options that were presented to you. There were nothing but limits. You can only do this, and coming from this neighborhood, you should only aspire to that, and et cetera, et cetera. But gratefully, I had teachers who saw something special in me, who helped me tune out some of the negative voices, a lot of the negative voices that were speaking in one ear and encouraging me in the other. So I got in the habit of, and I was bullied a lot when I was in elementary school, because I loved school, I loved reading and was good in school, which is how I ended up getting skipped. I was in the first grade for like 5 months, and they put me right in the second grade. I never went to the 8th grade. I went right from 7th grade to 9th grade. So it's never been cool, if any of you are out there listening, to be a good student. You get called teacher's pet, you get, all of the things. And sometimes kids can be really, really unkind. That hasn't changed. So I would make it a habit of, when I graduated elementary school and went to junior high, to come back and visit my elementary school teachers and thank them and say, this is what I'm doing in junior high school. And I'm singing. I would do Christmas concerts in the teacher's lounge, all those kinds of things. And then they would ask me to speak to the students that are in the class now. So I would talk to them about bullying, about paying attention in class, and this is what junior high school is like, et cetera. And they always had questions. So that was my routine all the way through college. When I was in high school, I went back to my junior high, my elementary, sharing what I could share. College, it was the same thing. So now here it is, a few years after college, and I'm booking this TV series. So I do what I was always doing. I go back to the High School of Music and Art. But this time I walk in the lobby and I am swarmed, just like, oh my God, it's Jaleesa. And they had to send security to come and get me out of the lobby. The principal made an announcement saying, this is a hazard. You have to clear the hallways. You have to go to your class. Miss Lewis will come and see you, but we have to clear the hallways. So they added about 3 hours to that school day to literally give me time to walk around to each and every homeroom and talk to the students and tell them what it was like. Because at that time, I was living everyone's dream in that school. So that's when something clicked in me, that what I was doing wasn't just for me and to make me feel good, but I actually had something to offer of substance to the next generation, to people who are now looking up to me like I was looking up to, Ruby Dee and Lena Horne and Harold Nicholas and all of those people that I had been blessed to meet and to now work with and call my friends. So that's when I started doing intentional motivational classes and master classes across the country on my own dime, et cetera. And I did that for a number of years and decided I was supporting organizations like the Red Cross, American Cancer Society, UNCF, the United Nations, I had done a program with Coretta Scott King, for AIDS empowerment and Black Performers Coalition. So I've been in and out of DC, and I decided, you know what I'm noticing is there are specific areas and communities of color where our students are not getting the same information. They're not getting the access. And so I wanted to do national programs. So I called some of the organizations that I had supported over the years and said, can you help me do this? And their response was, Dawnn, we've seen you out there for 30 plus years. So we know this isn't just a fly by night thing. This is something you genuinely care about, but we can't just give you money. You have to be a nonprofit. So we'd like to help, but you have to be a 501c3. So in 2017, I formalized the New Day Foundation, which is a play on my name, Dawnn, a new day, where we can be your new day of opportunity towards your best self. So where you were yesterday does not have to be where you are today, nor determine where you end up tomorrow. So allow us to open doors for you, open perspectives to you, and where we're able, give you scholarship dollars to help advance your higher education.
Yeah.
And that's where we started. So since its inception, we've now given out over $500,000 in scholarships. Thank you. And computer awards. We've helped thousands and thousands of students. We do several programs now. We have our annual Focused and Fit, and FIT stands for Financially and Technologically Informed for a Different World. And every year we try to do it on a different college campus. So it introduces kids around the city who think, well, if I can't get into USC, then I'm a failure. It's like, no, there's LA Community College. There's, all these other places where
It's amazing.
And so we do that every year. And that this year will be May 2nd at LACC here in Los Angeles. So go to the website, www.anewdayfoundation.net and register. And the one thing that we're really excited about and proud of is that everything we do free of charge. So all of our fundraising is so that we can provide the insurance, the workshop materials. If an organization needs a bus to transport large groups of students, band camp, the foundation, the scholarships, all of it. So $5, $500, $5,000, $50,000, whatever anybody gives, that's where it goes. So that all of our participants can find out about it, register. We take away as many obstacles as we can and just commit to being there and show up.
It's such an incredible full circle moment to you telling the story about someone telling you to pay it forward on in your career. And what a beautiful thing. A New Day Foundation. Dawnn, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today. This has been like a years-long get, so thank you for your time. We're so pleased to have chatted with you.
My pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you for your interest and thanks for your support. It means a lot. Thank you.
Honestly, it was really inspiring to hear Dr. Dawnn Lewis, as a very, very young person, go into that lawyer's office and be like, I can't, here's what I need, but I can't afford to pay you. And they were like, you've actually done your due diligence. We're going to represent you pro bono because you're such a professional, obviously at a young age. I was like, oh God, I don't think that works anymore for someone my age to be like, I did all this. Can I look at how it's very incredible as a young person to have the wherewithal to do that. And I was so impressed. And I love stuff about patents and intellectual property and her trying to protect her rights. Godspeed. Dawnn Lewis is teaching us all good lessons. And I feel like protect that IP, babe. We know that we are in the world of IP right now. It's the golden age of IP. And so you're nothing if you're not protected. And I really just it felt like such a incredible moment to learn about somebody that I grew up watching. And I think I didn't realize how young she was when she started her career. And to be a professional for that long in the business is just it's beautiful to hear about how, like you said, connecting the dots to the work she's doing with her foundation now and paying it forward and all of those things that were she worked for and that she got as a young person. She's now putting that towards future generations. It's kind of incredible.
And I have to say, clearly she has her origin story sort of down because she's probably has told it many, many times. But it was, I think Dr. Dawnn Lewis is pretty brilliant, and it was really cool. I loved hearing her talk about how she was sort of labeled as difficult on the set of Hanging with Mr. Cooper, but it was really that she was just sort of advocating for pay me for my studio session. Like, why you're not going to make me look stupid and Holly Robinson Pete looks stupid for like lips. Like, we're not lip syncing to En Vogue. We're singing with them. And like, they got paid. Why we should get paid. I feel like I don't know that that's like ahead of the time. I feel like that's just like wanting fair workplace conditions. But I feel like, you know, it is an ongoing, people are always working for equal working conditions. And I think especially women and especially Black folks. So I loved having that conversation with her. I thought she was pretty brilliant. And I have to say, like, involved with two pretty iconic and very melodic and very catchy songs. Mm-hmm. A Different World, which she wrote the theme song of, performed most famously, I think, by Aretha Franklin for most of the show's duration. And then also she sang on the Hangin' with Mr. Cooper soundtrack, or, you know, theme song for the first season, which again, she didn't write that song, but also very catchy, a beautiful earworm. I gotta download her music.
Folks, thank you as always for joining us on this week's episode of You Might Know Her From. Did you know that You Might Know Her From is a product of Duck You Dragon? That's Ann Rodeman and Damian Bellino, babe. That's us. We are independently produced. And if you want to continue to support the original sauce recipe here, You Might Know Her From actress feed, the best thing you can do is support us on the Patreon, patreon.com/You Might Know Her From. And if you can leave us a 5-star review, that helps too. Every little bit helps. We love you. Thanks for coming back each and every week.
Folks, all that music you hear is by Gang. Gang is from Philly, where I am sort of from, and 3/4 women. Go stream Gang's music wherever you listen to yours.
And if you need to see Dawnn Lewis doing double dutch, again, just for your reference, it's going to be in the show notes. That's where I put each and everything we discuss in the bottom of the episode description. If you need links, that's where you're going to find them.
Did I ever tell you about ear seeds?
Damien.
Have I told the listeners?
I don't know. I think you've talked about it.
I need to maybe do some ear seeds on my shoulders and my neck.
Okay, when you say ear seeds on your shoulders and your neck.
No, for my shoulders and neck.
Okay, so is it like an acupressure situation?
Yeah, you put the little seed.
The seed makes me feel like I'm watching like Dr. Pimple Popper pulling stuff out of ears, which I do enjoy because they get very sebaceous.
You have a map of your ear and it's like looks like a baby. Does this make, I really think I talked about this maybe on the Patreon already.
Yeah.
It looks like a baby. And then you but you put the little like.
So is it a pressure point? Like it pushes into it?
You push the little seed, the sticker, and you like push it with a little tweezer into the pressure point that you like want to focus on. So if you're like, I want to focus on neck pain, or if I want to focus on like liver health, then you put it like in these specific areas that it advises you to. And then you just like leave them there for however many days it suggests. And then like on day 4, you can like remove it and you see like, oh my God, my shoulder pain is a little better. I don't know if it works, but if there's one thing I'm going to do, it's try.
Yeah, it's like a reflexology. I respect the hustle. I have been wanting to like get my ears cleaned on the street. Have you seen videos of people getting their ears cleaned on the street? And I realize that's not safe. But you know, it's the part of me that likes risk taking.
Let's do it.